Whether you're feeling tired, bogged down by the heat, or suffering from a bad case of jelly fingers, keeping your character in tip-top shape out in the wasteland can take some effort. Here are some things you should know and what to look out for on your adventures. Greetings, Vault Dwellers, and welcome to the Wasteland. This is your Overseer speaking, Three-Eyed Townie, and today we're going to be talking about sleep, exposure, and diseases for Fallout the role-playing game by Modiphius. This video is a continuation in a Learn to Play series that I'm putting together for the game. This is part 2 of Survival, and in previous videos I've covered a lot of the basics of the core system itself, so if you haven't checked those out yet, you might want to take a look. My last video covered the basic mechanics of fatigue, and today we're going to expand on that by taking a look at sleep, exposure, and diseases. There are only so many hours in the day, and sometimes you might be motivated to push on straight through the night, but going too long without rest can start to take its toll. There are 4 different states of sleep. If you're rested, that means you've had the proper amount of sleep. After 8 hours of feeling rested, you become tired. If you're tired, you're no longer fully alert, but you're still awake. After 8 hours of being tired, though, you gain 1 fatigue and become weary. Weary means that you can still keep moving, but you really need some sleep. After 8 hours of being weary, you gain 1 additional fatigue point and become exhausted. By the time you become exhausted, you're on the verge of collapse, but you can still keep moving. Every 4 hours that you're exhausted, you gain 1 additional fatigue point. Strenuous activity can lead to you becoming tired much quicker. Intense combat or similar strenuous activity immediately moves you down 1 step at the end of that scene. If you sleep for at least 1 hour, it moves you back up 1 step, but to a maximum of tired. If you want to become rested, you need to sleep for a minimum of 6 hours. If you sleep for 8 or more hours in a safe and secure location, you become well rested and get to add 2 to your HP maximum until your next sleep. If you're weary or exhausted, sleep deprivation does count as a source of fatigue. However, sleeping does remove all points of fatigue so long as you don't have any additional sources of fatigue, such as dehydration, starvation, exposure to harsh climates, or diseases. Extreme heat or cold can make everyday activities more of a challenge and potentially escalate other issues. Without proper clothing, shelter, or a source of warmth, temperatures below 40 degrees Fahrenheit or 5 degrees Celsius can lead to a bad time. You gain 1 fatigue after a number of consecutive hours equal to your rank in survival. So, if you have a survival rank of 3, that means you could spend 3 hours out in the cold until you gain 1 fatigue. Without proper protection, temperatures below 0 degrees Fahrenheit or 18 degrees Celsius inflict 1 fatigue point after a number of minutes equal to your survival rating multiplied by 10. So again, if you had a survival rating of 3, you would gain 1 fatigue point after spending 30 minutes in extreme cold. Hot weather is defined as temperatures above 90 degrees Fahrenheit or 32 degrees Celsius. You gain 1 fatigue after a number of consecutive hours equal to your rank in survival. Shade or a similar sheltered environment can protect you from this kind of heat. Severe heat is defined as temperatures above 110 degrees Fahrenheit or 43 degrees Celsius. If you're caught outside a shade or a similar sheltered environment out in extreme heat, you'll gain 1 fatigue after a number of minutes equal to your survival rating times 10. Exposure to these conditions is considered a source of fatigue, so to properly remove yourself from those conditions, you need to spend at least 1 hour in a sheltered environment or a space that protects you from it. Cleanliness is not a characteristic used when describing the wasteland. Things like parasites, viruses, and diseases have mutated into conditions that you do well to avoid. At the end of a scene, check to see if any of the following have happened. Were you bit or scratched by a mammal, lizard, insect, or creature? Did you drink dirty water? Or did you eat raw meat? Did you breathe in any toxic fumes without proper protection? Were you within reach of a creature or character with a contagious disease? Did you sleep on the ground? If any of these events did in fact happen, you have to roll an endurance plus survival test with a difficulty equal to the number of events that occurred up to a maximum of 5. If you fail the test, congratulations, you've caught a disease. Roll 1d20 and reference the table on page 193 in the core rulebook to see what you've won. When you contract a disease, it doesn't take effect until the start of the next day. When you start suffering the symptoms of that disease, you gain 1 fatigue. Suffering a disease is considered a source of fatigue, which is only removed once you're cured. Recovering from a disease takes time. Once you start suffering the effects of a disease, you can roll an endurance plus survival test with a difficulty equal to the disease's duration rating. If you succeed, you reduce the disease's duration rating by 1. If this reduces the duration rating to 0, you recover from the disease fully. Now, there are some things that you and your compatriots can do to help speed up your recovery. Another character can assist on your endurance plus survival test with an intelligence plus medicine test. Antibiotics reduce the disease's duration rating by 1 at the end of that day. You cannot take more than 1 dose of an antibiotic per day. A full day spent resting or performing minimal physical activity can reduce the difficulty of your endurance plus survival test by 1 to a minimum of 0. Not getting enough sleep, being exposed to extreme weather conditions, and diseases can really put a damper on your day. It's important to take proper care of your character on your adventures and make sure that you have the proper supplies before venturing out into the unknown. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you found this breakdown helpful. As you probably already know, this video is a continuation of a Learn to Play series, and we're actually getting pretty close to the end. If you don't want to miss when the next video is coming out, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications. You can find me and the rest of the Fallout 2D20 unofficial fan community everywhere on the internet. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, and we have a very active Discord community as well, and I'll leave links for all that in the description. And if you haven't already ordered Fallout the role-playing game by Modiphius, you can do so directly from their online shop, and I'll leave a link for that in the description too. Thanks again for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and of course, I'll see you in the wasteland.